Hello, and welcome back to the Honest Art Podcast. Today's episode is going to be kind of crazy and wild and beautiful and fun if you're somebody that likes color. And if you're an artist, my guess is you have a thing about color, right? So we're going to talk all about color because I want you to feel really proud of your art, and I want you to feel really confident in your art. I want you to make more money in your art, maybe even raise your prices in your art. And all of this, believe it or not, has to do with color and some of your color choices. I know it sounds crazy, but subconsciously, collectors will assign higher worth with certain color palettes. Isn't that crazy? And so they will assign a higher monetary value to our art. So it's a big deal. Color is a very big deal. And everybody has their color palettes that they love most. And we're not going to necessarily change that. But we're going to talk a lot about how you can use color to do that. And here's the other thing. This is probably the best part of all, is that your use of color can really set you apart from all the other artists. So are you ready? Let's get messy. Okay, so when we're talking about color and our collectors and everything, what we're talking about is how our collectors feel when they view our art, right? So of course it's going to have the content and what you actually painted, but the colors are so important. So to kind of drive this home a little bit, I want you to think about your favorite color. Okay, you got it? Okay, so now I want you to think about, like, what is the feeling you get when you think about your favorite color? You know, maybe you have that favorite color, maybe you wear that favorite color, maybe you have that favorite color in your home, but there is a feeling that is evoked in you, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be your favorite color. Like for me, my favorite color is yellow, right? And so when I think about a feeling of yellow, to me, it just is like, it's the color of joy. It makes me so happy. It's the color of sunflowers. It's the color of the sun, at least if you're looking at an emoji, right? To me, it's just the color of happiness, right? Have you ever seen a yellow when you weren't like, oh my gosh, it's bright. It just feels really, really good. And so then I think about, what is my experience with the color of yellow? Well, if you've ever, seen pictures or been to my house, most of you have not. That'd be weird. But if you've seen my house, like yellow is a very prominent color in my house. So color has a way of evoking a feeling as well from our collectors, right? And they will equate it with an experience. So the way that they are going to equate it with an experience is they're going to think about, okay, if I'm looking at this painting, right, what are the colors that, like, how are they making me feel? Like, what kind of mood is this putting me in? If you've ever gone to an opening or an exhibition and you see a painting with a lot of maybe super dark colors, right? The mood that's evoking is, it can be moody, it can be kind of dark, it can be kind of sad, right? So the colors have a way of emoting something within the viewer. I know this is no surprise to you whatsoever, but I'm going to tell you how you can use this to your advantage in just a second. The other thing is, have you seen art that the colors are very soothing? Well, what kind of colors do those represent for you? Soothing colors. For me, soothing colors are going to be like softer colors, maybe soft blues, soft corals, soft pinks, not those bright ones, but like soft colors, right? So when you are creating a piece of art and you are wanting it to evoke or emote a certain mood with someone, those colors are going to be like integral to making that happen because we can't get away from it. It's the human condition. But here's the thing, like this is where it gets just a little tricky. So like I want my home to have that, soft, peaceful mood to it. I always want my home to be peaceful. But I also like painting with some bright colors. So we can't start with the end in mind. We have to first honor who we are as an artist, right? I love those soft colors. I love all that. I actually love paintings that are really neutral. There's a lot of neutral colors in my home. I'm not going to be the artist to paint those though. That's not what I'm about. I love going to the colors and choosing what I want and doing it that way. So I want to caution you as we're talking about color, I don't want you to change your palette into what you think a collector is going to want. It always has to start with us, right? Because the art has to be in alignment with us, because if it's not in alignment, nothing's going to happen. That art is going to it's not going to sell. There's going to be something energetically that is totally off. So as I'm talking about color, what colors do what, all of that, just remember, you stay true to you. Always, always stay true to you. And then the right collector will connect with that. So this gets me to the place where a lot of us, including me for sure, can overthink a little bit. So, when we approach the canvas and we are thinking, okay, I've got a few hours here, what am I going to paint? How am I going to paint? Stay in that space of just being super, super open to whatever it needs to be. Stay true to how are you showing up? Are you a little frustrated that day? Show up to the canvas fully frustrated and do that. But don't overthink, okay, well, what is a frustration color? Don't do that, because what we're doing when we do that is we are already attaching ourselves too fully to the outcome, right? I always say that one of the things I do when I'm painting is if I find that I am, getting too attached to what this is or what it's going to be too soon, then I'll spin the painting because, it's too soon. It's too soon. Right. So in the same way, if we are thinking about color and we're like, oh, okay, well, I want, I'm in a bad mood or I'm feeling frustrated. So what colors would those be? Then we are cutting off the partnership with the creative, right? We are cutting off. When I always say, we are the faucet, but we're not the water. So if we attach ourselves too soon to oh, well, that color has to be this because this is my emotion, then we are shutting off the faucet. Really, we're not allowing the creativity to come through. Because let's talk about this. So let's say that, you are showing up frustrated, right? Totally fine, right? Because that's what we do as artists. Art helps us heal if we allow it, but it also it validates the human experience. So we have to show up super, super fully and acknowledge that. So we show up, we're feeling a little frustrated, and so we just choose whatever colors we want. Who knows what those are going to be. So let's say that we did decide, though. I'm going to choose some red. I'm going to choose a dark umber, kind of a brown. I'm going to choose, whatever colors those might be. So we get into it. We get into the painting. We're doing some harsh marks, whatever that might be in terms of frustration. So we're getting into it. And all of a sudden we're like, I'm not feeling that frustrated anymore. And now I think I'm wanting to do some different colors, right? Allow that. That's why we don't want to get too attached to the outcome too soon. Allow that. That's the surprise element. That's where it, becomes so cool and so interesting. So don't overthink it too soon. Go in with that idea that I'm just going to show up and it's going to be what it's going to be, right? But here's where it gets a little dicey. You got to know color cohesiveness. So you can't just show up and put every single color that you want on the canvas and and expect it to become, this really gorgeous piece of art, because you are in it with the intention of being expressive, right? That's of the four pillars of art, of fine art, one of them is the artist's expressiveness, right? So you have to do that. That's super, super important. But you also have to know how to have color cohesiveness, right? And so I teach all about color cohesiveness, and it makes a huge, huge difference. But just know, just because you're frustrated and just because, whatever, all of the colors that you throw on the canvas may not necessarily work, but they're going to work from the standpoint of the expressiveness. All right, and I'll get to talking a little bit more about making colors cohesive and all of that. But the other thing, just talking about not overthinking color, the other thing I want to suggest or offer to you is to not choose obvious colors, right? And what I mean by obvious colors is, if you're going to paint, say, a landscape, and you're going to paint a tree, well, the obvious colors are going to be a brown trunk and green leaves. But that is so freaking boring. And you are a creative. You are an artist. So use all of that creativity to think, well, how can I make this interesting? How can I make it different? Right. So don't choose the obvious, because, it doesn't even really allow the observer or the viewer of the art to be intrigued or to be interested, because it's just so freaking obvious. So don't overthink your colors to the point where it's obvious. All right, so now let's get back to the color cohesiveness thing, right? All right, so when we're talking about color cohesiveness, we're really talking about, does this color really, like, does it go on this painting? Does it fit with this painting? Does it make sense in this painting? And you may have heard me talk about this before, but I always like to use the example of the Mona Lisa, because everybody kind of knows the Mona Lisa, right? And so if you've got this Mona Lisa and these colors, like there's ambers and there's this just really, really rich colors. And imagine you throw lime green on there, right? It is going to be obvious that there is not a color cohesiveness. And so that's why when I was saying, yeah, be really, really, really expressive, but keep in mind color cohesiveness. Okay. And here's an example, in my programs, we will do art critiques, and sometimes I'll see a painting. Hell, you know what? Sometimes it's my own painting. So I don't know why I'm acting like it's only other people that do this. I do it too. But when I'm looking at a painting and it's like something is off, it is usually the color cohesiveness. Like, as an example, like you can be like, okay, I've got on my palette, I've got these, yellow is one of them on my palette. And then at the end of it, you're like, ooh, but I've got this other, like, light yellow or kind of this lemony yellow, and it wasn't part of some of the other warmer yellows. But you're like, hell, I don't care. It's yellow, right? So you just throw it on there. It's going to stand out, and it's going to change the whole painting. All right. So color cohesiveness is so important, because it can seriously totally throw off an entire painting. So we've got to know what we're doing. Now, the way I do my color mixing is, I like to take a minute before I ever start painting. And when I say a minute, I mean usually like 5. It's not usually a 20-minute meditation, but it's usually like a 5 or 10-minute meditation. And I like to just settle my brain. Because usually when I sit to paint, it's kind of later in the day. That's kind of just like when I like to paint. I like to paint like around that 2:00 hour, when I've got a lot of the stuff done from my day. It just makes me feel relaxed. So I've got a lot going on in my head right at that point. So settling down, and getting clear, and getting that monkey mind out, that can help me when I start to choose my colors. And I don't choose colors the way a lot of people teach color. A lot of people teach color like, You want to have a limited palette. You want to have where you have complementary colors. Like, I don't want to do any of that. I don't like anybody telling me what to do. I don't like rules. I like to do, I like to choose the colors that I want to choose intuitively, like what feels really good to choose these colors. And I can't do that intuitive color choosing unless I get quiet for a minute, and I like to put on a little soft music. I light some sage or Palo Santo because I want to trigger my brain with smell and with sound to start chilling the fuck out, like just resting, right, and being still. And it's from that place that I then go and I choose my colors. And when I don't take a minute to do that one simple step of quieting down and just, sitting in with myself, when I don't do that one simple step, it's like I will wrestle a painting to the ground for days, weeks. It just never goes well. But I honestly, I just did a meditation this morning, and it showed that I'm almost up to 600 meditations on this particular app. And I'm going to tell you, even with all of those meditations, when I think, okay, you need to sit your butt down, Jody, and just quiet your mind a minute before you start choosing these colors, I still have to talk myself into it. I don't really want to do it because I want to get in there. I have like a limited amount of time. I want to get in there. I want to grab my colors. I want to mix my colors. I want to paint, right? Yeah. If I don't do that one simple step, it never works. So going back to color mixing though, I want to have a good time with it. I love color mixing. I love choosing the colors, and I love doing just what makes me feel good, right? I want to feel free on the canvas, and so I want to feel free in choosing my colors as well. That's why I have my own color mixing method that I teach all the time. And by the way, if you feel really confident in your colors, that's awesome. You can see that reflected in how your paintings are selling. You can see that reflected into how people are reacting to your art, because as I was saying, colors evoke mood, it evokes feelings, it evokes experiences. So maybe you've like nailed it. Maybe you have dialed in and your color mixing is on point. And if that's the case, then that's amazing. But if you feel like color mixing or even composition or any of that is something that you want a little more support on, I am just now releasing my color course for Rebels again. It's the first time I've re-released this in years and years, but it teaches all about color cohesiveness. So check it out at the link in the show notes. But if you got it dialed in, that's amazing. But here's the thing I want to leave you with is that your collectors will equate the worth of your art largely based on your colors. Of course, the content, the composition, like what it's all about, all of that plays a large role as well. But I don't think we've talked enough about the importance of your color choices within your art, because like I said, I want you to sell a bunch of art. I want you to be able to raise your prices, right? I want you to feel a lot of success, and I want you to feel confident in your art. And you can't do that if you don't feel really good about your colors. Okay, I hope that's helpful. Until next time, take good care of yourselves and each other. Peace out. Whether you're a new painter or a seasoned one, we can always improve our art to fine art status. I created the color course for Rebels to give you the tools to do just that. I am a 7-figure artist who has been painting for over 20 years, and this course has everything I use creatively to sell my art globally, to get into galleries and exhibitions everywhere. So the color course for Rebels covers values, compositions, how to uncover your own particular style, color saturation, and of course, my signature color mixing method, and so much more. The best part? The price starts at only $67. Are you ready to make fine art? Check out the link in the show notes for the color course for Rebels. If you're in Austin and looking for a beautiful, chic, modern space that is versatile for any event, I recommend The Commune. I love it so much, it's where I host my own painting workshops. With their great location in North Central Austin and amazing kind staff, they are the perfect place to host any event. Check out their website, thecommuneatx.com, and their Instagram, thecommune.atx.